There are certain years people remember clearly because something obvious happened. A wedding, a move, a retirement, an illness, or a sudden opportunity. But there are also years that feel almost ordinary while they are happening. Nothing dramatic occurs. Life looks stable from the outside. Yet when people look back later, they realize that was the year everything quietly began to change. Many people will experience a year like that in 2026. At first, the signs are small. You wake up earlier than usual, sometimes around 3 or 4 in the morning. Not with fear, not with pain, just awake. Your mind feels alert even though your body is tired. Instead of thinking about tomorrow's schedule, you begin remembering things from long ago. Conversations you have not replayed in decades return clearly. You remember the tone of someone's voice, the smell of a place you once lived, or the feeling of a decision you made years earlier. During the day, nothing seems wrong. Your routine continues. You drink your coffee, speak with family, watch the news, and go about your day. Yet you notice your attention has shifted. You start looking at your surroundings differently. A room feels crowded, even though nothing was added. An object you kept for years suddenly feels unnecessary. You find yourself opening drawers and cabinets, not to search for anything specific, but because you feel an urge to clear space. Some people will begin reducing commitments. Activities that once felt normal now feel heavier. You may not be unhappy doing them, but you feel a quiet sense that your energy belongs somewhere else. You cannot explain it clearly to others. If someone asks what is wrong, the only honest answer is, nothing is wrong. I just feel different. This kind of feeling is easy to dismiss. Many people assume it comes from aging, stress, or temporary mood. Yet when I have spoken with individuals over many years, I noticed a pattern. These feelings do not arrive randomly. They appear for many people during the same period, even when those people live completely separate lives. One man told me he suddenly drove past a house he had not seen since the early 1980s. He did not plan to go. He simply felt he should. Another woman said she felt a need to forgive her sister after years of silence, even though nothing new had happened between them. Another person stayed up late cleaning a storage room that had not bothered him for years, and afterward he slept peacefully for the first time in months. None of these events were dramatic, yet each person described the same thing. They felt as if life was gently preparing them for something they could not yet see. In traditional Eastern teachings, there is a concept known as an activation year. It is not the year when change becomes visible. It is the year when the inner shift begins. Decisions are reconsidered, attachments loosen, awareness grows before events occur. The year 2026 carries this quality. It may not force you into immediate action. Instead, it nudges you. You might think about simplifying your schedule, reconnecting with someone, or releasing responsibilities you have carried too long. The feeling is persistent but calm. It does not push you in panic. It invites you quietly. Some people will make small adjustments during this period, and those small adjustments will later lead to larger changes that feel natural rather than sudden. Others may ignore the feeling, and later changes may feel surprising. The important thing is this: a life can begin to change long before the evidence appears. Like a river shifting its direction only a few degrees, the movement seems minor at first. But many miles later, the river arrives somewhere entirely different. The fire horse year of 2026 often works in this way. It does not announce itself loudly. It starts with awareness. And awareness, more than circumstance, is what begins the turning of a life. To understand why 2026 carries this quiet influence, we have to look at the meaning behind the name. In the traditional calendar, a year is never only a number. It is a meeting between an animal and an element. The year 2026 is known as the Year of the Fire Horse, and both parts of that name matter. Most people hear the animal first. The horse has always symbolized movement. In earlier times, the horse brought travelers between towns, carried news from one village to another, and signaled that something was on its way. When people saw a horse approaching from the distance, they knew change was near even before they heard what message it carried. Because of this, a horse year rarely allows life to remain completely still. It does not force sudden disruption, but it creates momentum. People begin thinking about new directions. Some consider moving closer to family. Others reconsider how they spend their time. Some feel drawn toward learning something new after many years of routine. The horse does not push. It pulls gently forward. But the deeper influence in 2026 is not the horse alone. It is the fire. Among the 5 traditional elements, fire has a very specific role. Wood grows, earth stabilizes, metal defines, and water reflects. Fire reveals. Imagine entering a dark room you have known for years. You walk through it easily because you remember where everything should be. But when a light is turned on, you suddenly see dust on the shelves, scratches on the walls, and objects you forgot were even there. Nothing new appeared. You simply became aware of what was always present. This is how a fire year operates in a human life. It does not create problems. It exposes truths that have quietly existed. People often misunderstand such years because events that happen during them seem new. A conversation may finally occur. A decision may finally be made. A relationship may finally change. Yet in most cases, the cause began long before. The fire simply makes it visible. That is why some people in 2026 will begin to notice feelings they previously ignored. A responsibility that once felt natural may now feel heavy. A relationship that once felt comfortable may feel distant. A goal pursued for years may suddenly feel less important. Nothing outside has changed yet, but inside, clarity appears. The horse brings motion, and the fire brings awareness. Together, they form a year where understanding leads to movement. You first see clearly, then you naturally begin adjusting your life. Many older adults experience this strongly because their lives have already completed several 12-year cycles. The calendar repeats itself every 12 years, and certain years act as checkpoints. A fire horse year often activates memories or decisions from 12 or even 24 years earlier. You may recall a path you nearly chose but did not. You may reconsider a decision you once accepted quickly because you had no time to think deeply. These memories are not meant to disturb you. They are meant to illuminate. The purpose is not to relive the past, but to understand it. When understanding arrives, your present decisions become calmer and more intentional. This is why the fire horse year is sometimes called a year of illumination. It is not about lighting the outside world. It is about lighting your own perspective. Once you see clearly, you begin to change small things without forcing yourself. You organize your home. You simplify commitments. You speak honestly in conversations you once avoided. Life does not suddenly become chaotic. Instead, it becomes honest. And honesty quietly changes direction more powerfully than pressure ever could. Once awareness begins, the change rarely announces itself loudly. Instead, it appears through small signs that repeat gently. Many people overlook these moments because each one seems ordinary on its own. Yet when they happen together, they begin to form a pattern. One of the first signs is in sleep. You may start waking earlier than usual, sometimes before sunrise, even when you went to bed at the same time. Your mind feels clear, not restless. You are not worrying about the day ahead. Instead, your thoughts drift backward. You remember places you have not visited in years, conversations you have not considered in decades, and choices you once made quickly without reflection. These memories do not feel painful. They feel unfinished. You may suddenly wonder why a certain friendship ended, or why you accepted a responsibility that shaped many years of your life. The feeling is not regret. It is curiosity mixed with understanding. You begin to see your past from a calmer point of view. Shui, another sign appears during daily routines. You may notice that something you always enjoyed no longer brings the same satisfaction. Perhaps you followed a certain schedule for years without question, yet now you feel tired doing it. At the same time, simple activities become meaningful. A quiet morning, a walk outdoors, or a longer conversation with someone close to you feels more important than tasks that once seemed urgent. You may also feel an unexpected urge to organize your surroundings. You open drawers you ignored for years. You sort through papers and objects you once saved automatically. Some items bring comfort, and you keep them. Others feel heavy, even though they have no physical weight. Letting them go feels relieving rather than sad. Many people are surprised by how peaceful they feel after clearing a small space. Meaningful coincidences often follow. You think about a person and they contact you. You consider an idea and hear someone mention it the same week. You remember a place and encounter it unexpectedly in conversation. These moments are subtle, but they draw your attention. They make you pause and wonder whether your life is guiding you toward something. Another sign is a gentle desire to reconnect. You may feel the urge to call someone you avoided or to express gratitude you never voiced. The conversation, when it happens, often feels calm rather than emotional. It brings closure or understanding instead of complication. People sometimes confuse these experiences with worry, but they feel different. Worry is heavy and urgent. It demands action immediately. These signs feel calm and patient. They do not pressure you. They invite you to notice. The purpose of these signs is not to force decisions. It is to prepare your thinking. As your understanding changes, your choices naturally follow. You may adjust your daily routine, simplify responsibilities, or consider a different direction for the future without any dramatic event requiring it. When people later look back at such a year, they often realize nothing large happened at the time. Yet it was the year they began sleeping differently, thinking differently, and prioritizing differently. Those quiet shifts gradually shaped the years that followed. The Firehorse year works through awareness first. The visible changes come later. And because the change begins within your perspective, it feels less like disruption and more like guidance. As this awareness grows, it rarely stays in only one area of life. It begins touching the three places where people spend most of their time and emotion: relationships, work and purpose, and the environment they live in. The Firehorse year does not always change all three at once, but it often awakens at least one strongly enough that the others slowly follow. For some, the first shift appears in relationships. You may notice conversations feel different. Someone you speak with regularly suddenly seems distant, not because of conflict, but because your understanding has changed. At the same time, a person from your past may return to your thoughts or even contact you unexpectedly. When this happens, the purpose is rarely to repeat the past. Instead, it brings understanding. You see the situation from a calmer point of view. Words you once wished you had spoken now feel easy to say, or forgiveness comes without effort. A relationship may not restart, but it becomes peaceful, and that peace frees your attention for the present. Others experience the shift through work and personal purpose. A role you performed for years may begin to feel heavier than before. You may still be capable, but your interest fades. You start asking questions you once avoided. Why am I doing this? Does this still represent who I am now? Some people consider retirement earlier than planned, not because they must, but because they sense their energy belongs somewhere else. Others choose to remain working but reduce responsibility or change how they contribute. The important change is internal. You begin caring more about meaning than habit. A third group notices the change through their living environment. You may walk through your home and suddenly feel it no longer matches your present life. Perhaps you collected many items during busy years, and now you want simplicity. You rearrange furniture, clear storage areas, or improve lighting. Sometimes people feel drawn to move closer to family or to a quieter place. The decision rarely feels rushed. It feels like aligning your surroundings with who you have become. Although these areas appear separate, they influence one another. When you release an old responsibility, your schedule changes. When your schedule changes, you spend time differently. When you spend time differently, your relationships shift naturally. What begins as a small adjustment in one area gradually changes the atmosphere of your entire life. Many people worry such changes mean loss, but often they mean completion. A chapter that served you for many years quietly finishes. You are not pushed out of it. You step out of it because you recognize you no longer need it in the same way. The Firehorse year does not usually bring chaos to attentive people. It brings clarity. You begin seeing what has already reached its natural end. Once you see clearly, you do not need to force change. You simply stop holding what is already ready to rest. This is why others around you may not understand. From their perspective, nothing significant happened. You still live in the same place, speak to many of the same people, and continue daily routines. Yet inside, your direction has shifted. And over time, that inner shift quietly shapes your future. Years later, many realize a conversation, a small decision, or a simple rearrangement during this period led them toward a different and often calmer life. At the moment, it felt minor. Only later did it reveal its importance. Not every person feels this year in the same way. Each zodiac animal responds differently, not because one is more fortunate than another, but because each stands in a different place along the cycle. The Firehorse year touches everyone, yet it draws attention to different parts of life depending on your natural tendencies. For some signs, the shift centers around relationships. Those born in the year of the rat, the rabbit, and the horse itself often notice emotional awareness first. The rat may feel a strong need to resolve misunderstandings or clarify words left unsaid. Conversations that were postponed suddenly feel important. The rabbit experiences something gentler. Instead of dramatic encounters, you may understand past situations with surprising calm, releasing feelings you carried quietly for years. The horse feels restlessness more than emotion. You sense movement approaching and begin preparing your life, even before you know what you are preparing for. Another group feels the influence through work, purpose, and finances. People born in the year of the ox, the snake, and the rooster often experience thoughtful reevaluation. The ox, usually steady and patient, may begin questioning whether routine alone brings satisfaction. You may not want to stop working entirely, but you want your effort to matter in a new way. The snake notices patterns first. You may recognize where your energy has been used inefficiently and begin adjusting plans gradually. The rooster sees practical details clearly. You reorganize schedules, reduce obligations, and remove commitments that once seemed necessary but now feel draining. A third group feels it in lifestyle, health, and living space. Those born in the year of the dog, the goat, and the pig often experience physical or environmental awareness. The dog becomes sensitive to surroundings and may desire a calmer environment. You spend more time improving your living space or being outdoors. The goat seeks emotional comfort and prefers simplicity over display. You may want to live closer to family or reduce noise and pressure. The pig notices changes in daily rhythm. Sleep, meals, and routines become important. You naturally adjust habits to feel more balanced. The remaining signs, the tiger, the dragon, and the monkey, often experience the year as a test of direction. Rather than external changes, you feel an internal push to reconsider goals. The tiger questions whether past ambitions still reflect present values. The dragon senses a need to refine priorities and focus energy more carefully. The monkey becomes curious about learning and may begin something new even if it seems unrelated to previous plans. Across all signs, the message remains the same. The year does not label events as good or bad. It reveals where attention is needed. When you notice the area of life drawing your thoughts repeatedly, you understand where the change is beginning. The purpose is not to compare yourself with others. Each person moves through the cycle at a different moment. Some feel it in relationships, others in purpose, others in daily living. All are part of the same quiet adjustment guiding life forward. Because this change begins quietly, people sometimes react too quickly when they finally recognize it. The fire horse year brings clarity, but clarity can create strong emotion. When you suddenly understand something you did not see before, you may feel an urge to act immediately. This is the moment when patience becomes important. One common mistake is ending a relationship in a single conversation. You may realize a connection has changed and feel compelled to resolve everything at once. Yet understanding does not require urgency. Some relationships simply need honest discussion and time to settle into a new form. If you act only from emotion, you may close a door that was meant to remain open peacefully. Another mistake involves major decisions made during sleepless nights. Awakening early can bring reflection, but decisions made while tired may not be balanced. If you feel strongly about a choice, give it time. Wait through several calm days. When clarity remains steady rather than intense, you know it is genuine understanding rather than temporary feeling. Financial choices also deserve care. Some people feel the desire to change life quickly and consider large purchases or sudden investments. The firehorse year does not forbid change, but it favors thoughtful steps. Before committing to something permanent, pause. Ask whether the decision comes from calm direction or from a wish to escape discomfort. There is also a gentle caution about nostalgia. When memories return, the past may appear simpler than it truly was. You may want to repeat habits you once followed because they feel familiar. Yet the purpose of remembering is not to return backward. It is to understand and move forward with wisdom gained from experience. Letting go of certain belongings can help. Objects tied to heavy memories sometimes keep emotions active longer than needed. You do not need to discard everything meaningful. Instead, notice your reaction when you hold something. If it consistently brings tension rather than warmth, releasing it can create unexpected peace. Communication benefits from kindness during this year. Many people are experiencing similar awareness without knowing how to describe it. Small misunderstandings may occur easily. Speak slowly, listen patiently, and allow others time to express themselves. Often you will discover they are also reconsidering their direction. The Fire Horse year encourages movement, but wise movement follows reflection. Think of it as sunrise. When light appears, you can finally see the road, yet you still choose your pace. Walking calmly allows you to notice details and avoid obstacles. So do not ignore your awareness, but do not rush either. Let understanding settle. When a decision remains clear after time passes, it belongs to your path. When it fades, the insight itself was the purpose. In this way, the year guides you without forcing you. When people hear that a year carries strong influence, they often wonder what they must do to protect themselves or guarantee good fortune. Yet the Fire Horse year is less about protection and more about alignment. It does not ask you to fight change. It asks you to cooperate gently with what you already feel beginning inside. The first step is to create a little quiet in your day. Even a few minutes each morning without noise or distraction allows your thoughts to settle. Sit near a window, breathe slowly, and notice how your mind moves. When life is constantly busy, awareness cannot speak clearly. When you pause, understanding appears naturally. Next, bring order to your surroundings. You do not need to transform your entire home. Begin with small spaces, a drawer, a table, a shelf. As you sort through belongings, you may recognize which items still belong to your present life and which represent a chapter already finished. Keeping what brings warmth and releasing what brings heaviness makes your home feel lighter and your mind calmer. Writing can help as well. Take a notebook and gently write about memories that have returned recently. You are not trying to change the past. You are acknowledging it. When thoughts remain unspoken, they repeat. When expressed calmly, they settle. Many people find that after writing honestly, the same memory no longer returns with the same intensity. Forgiveness is another quiet practice. You may not need to contact anyone directly. Sometimes forgiveness is simply the decision to stop carrying emotion forward into the present. When you release resentment, you do not excuse what happened. You free your attention for what is happening now. Movement supports the energy of the horse. You do not need long journeys, short walks, time outdoors, or visiting new nearby places can refresh your perspective. Physical movement helps mental clarity. When your body moves gently, your thoughts often become calmer. You may also feel drawn to reconnect with family or friends. Keep expectations gentle. The goal is not to recreate the past exactly as it was, but to share understanding as you are now. Even a brief conversation can bring surprising comfort and closure. Above all, trust gradual change. The Fire Horse year does not demand dramatic action. It offers direction. Small adjustments made calmly now often prevent larger disruptions later. When you cooperate with the process, life feels guided rather than forced. Some years bring obvious opportunity. Some bring visible challenge. The Fire Horse year brings awareness first and results later. You may only recognize its importance when you look back and realize how a simple decision, a quiet conversation, or a small release led you toward a calmer future. So if you feel a gentle pull to simplify, to understand, or to move forward carefully, do not ignore it. You are not losing your past. You are placing it where it belongs, behind you instead of in front of you. Some years shout loudly, some years remain silent. The year 2026 whispers, and those who listen often discover their lives have changed without struggle, only with direction.